Alright everyone, the other day I managed to watch the entire Trump acceptance speech. It's harder because even though it's more exciting, it was also more than twice as long as Biden's acceptance speech. Stark contrast, it was literally like night and day, and I use that analogy in a most literal sense. Part of Biden's speech, in fact the main sum and substance of it was, we're on the path of darkness, America is crumbling, it's not actually great, and we need to change everything about our society because Orange Man bad. He repeatedly invoked the idea of darkness in the literal sense, the idea of being a shining light and so forth. Trump's acceptance speech, one of the big moments there was saying America's not in darkness, America is the torch that brightens the world and stuff like that. It's hyperbolic sloganeering, but it definitely hits a chord. It was better delivered than Biden's speech by an order of magnitude. It was far more positive. And really, the times that he segues into talking about things that are going wrong, he very correctly identifies that it has to do with blue states and cities currently not doing what the government wants them to do on coronavirus or on the riots that are going on. The far-left communist riots are 100% taking place in cities run by Democratic mayors, and the vast majority of those cities are additionally in blue states with Democratic governors. It was funny. The other day when I pointed that out, actually, I was, of course, antagonizing the commies on Twitter. Someone's like, well, Georgia's not a blue state. No, Georgia's not a blue state, but Atlanta is definitely a deep blue city. It's a little blue dot in a sea of red. That's the whole fucking point that I was trying to make. Trump's acceptance speech ultimately struck a positive tone and said, no, America is great. Yeah, there's work to do, but it's achievable. Biden's speech, meanwhile, didn't even really talk about his own proposals. He would say vacuous things because he can't really talk about his record. It's funny, when Biden tries to talk about his distinguished record, he never wants to elaborate further on what that record contains, because unfortunately, even though some moderates might not have a problem with tough-on-crime ordinances, do you think that the leftists right now that are rioting would be very happy with Joe? They're not. I mean, they're basically fair-weathered friends at this point for the Democratic Party. It's not like these commies are actually card-carrying Democratic Party members, although one hand washes the other in fundraising terms. Joe Biden's speech was basically nonstop negative. It was essentially an attack ad on Trump, only it doesn't really... The problem with Biden is that I don't think that he properly made his pitch to people about how he would do it differently. So he would say, like the country's in darkness, I will guide you on the light. Well, how? Elaborate further, Joe. You know, you only gave a 24-minute speech as opposed to something like an hour and 10 minutes for Donald Trump. Also, they got freaked out, I think, because they realized, hey, here's a tale of two candidates. One of them verbally fumbles several times despite having a teleprompter in front of him in the course of a 20-minute span. With you know, a pre-recorded format, by the way. The other one is doing it live in front of thousands of people, effortlessly, and speaks almost nonstop for more than an hour. There's a contrast in terms of delivery and at least the perception of how verbally acute these individuals are. There's another contrast, and it's an important one. There's a reason why more of the Democrats and legacy media are begging Joe Biden not to go to the debates. In all honesty, they may actually be crazy enough to try to cancel the debates. It'd be funny. I guarantee the workaround would be something related to either, oh, Joe has symptoms of coronavirus and he doesn't want to be on stage with Trump, or they'll have at the 11th hour, like right before the debate is scheduled, they'll tell the venue, please cancel, and don't tell anyone that we told you to do that because we don't want Joe up on stage. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually are crazy enough to try that, and it'll be shenanigans. And they'll immediately gaslight and say it's a conspiracy theory to anyone that points that out. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. Based on the acceptance speeches, Trump's acceptance speech was more energetic, although not to a huge extent, but part of it is you had an actual group of people clapping. You had actually people there to react to the speech. It invoked patriotism as opposed to invoking the anti-patriotism of the other guy, if that makes sense. Much of Biden's speech was about how bad Trump is. Most of Trump's speech was about how great he is. It's funny because you had two speeches about Trump. It's just from differing angles, and that's another point that I think is meaningful. The Democrats, for some time now, have talked almost as much about Trump as Trump does. They don't talk about their records because their records can't stand up to modern scrutiny. They can't talk about their proposals because their proposals have all been panned. The Green New Deal got panned. Defund the police got panned. Mass tax hikes for so-called universal health care, even having a universal state-run option like Biden proposes, has been panned by the independent voters. Certainly, their silence has been violence in our inner cities with regards to the rioting that's going on. I've still seen no specific proposal for coronavirus from Biden other than a 3-month mask mandate and saying, I'm going to lock things down for 3 months. I don't even know what that means. The dude won't elaborate on it. That's the other thing. Joe Biden's platform is like the Thanksgiving... Trump's platform is like the Thanksgiving turkey. Biden's platform is like the next day when it's been picked clean to the bones. If that analogy makes any sense. There's really nothing there. It's Orange Man bad. The only part of the turkey that's still there is the asshole, I guess. And that would be, of course, Joe Biden. That's about all. Peace out.